Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lara Waldman, and I am here today with the most gorgeous Tash Mitch. Welcome, Tash.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you, Lara.
Oh, I can't wait. Today, Tash Mitch and I are going to talk about the embodiment of a soulful business. And we're going to explore what that is. But first of all, I'd love you, Tash, to please introduce yourself and say hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tash Mitch. I'm a Chakra Alchemist. And really what I do is help people to understand the flow of energy within themselves, understand the flow of energy in their life and their business. And really the crux of what I do is helping people to find out exactly what it is that they want, gain clarity around what they want, and then go out in the world and get it. So that's me, the Chakra Alchemist.
Oh, very cool. And I love your work. Tash is one of my go-to women who I receive beautiful support from, and your work is gorgeous. So shall we begin just by talking about embodiment? How would you describe embodiment? What is that? Let's start there.
For me, embodiment is about taking things out of the conceptuals, taking things out of the thought, and almost taking things out of the consciousness and bringing it into the cellular, into the DNA, into the structural. And it's that sort of sense of, I always reference people back to their bodies and the sensations of their bodies and what's going on within their bodies, particularly in the feet, because embodiment and the feet are so incredibly connected. And a lot of times we are so in the head that we don't actually connect into the feet. But when we do connect into the feet, for example, if we're sitting and we've got our feet on the ground, as soon as we connect into the feet, we connect into our presence. We connect into how invested we are in this moment, where we are in this moment. And there's times when we connect into the feet and the feet are literally hovering, and I've had that myself, where I sort of think, okay, so where am I at the moment in the midst of my day or whatever, connecting to my feet, and my feet are literally feeling like they're hovering off the ground. And when it's like that, I know that my energy is either really far in front of me and I need to breathe and bring it back and plug in to this moment again, or it could be that it's behind me somewhere in some sort of past thought or whatever. So bringing yourself into present time is very much about bringing yourself back into the connection. And a lot of times the best way to do that is to bring it back into the feet. So embodiment is really about then using your body as a tuning fork for what is going on, and we can start to apply that to business and how our business is starting to show up in our bodies, basically.
Cool. Well, as someone who has struggled a lot with embodiment, being grounded and in my body has been one of my greatest challenges. So it's my daily practice, getting into the body. How would you say this connects to our business? So if we're talking about a soulful business, how does embodiment connect to our business, would you say?
In so many ways. The first way is that basically, if you were to think about your business, and again, you place your attention onto your feet, you can actually start to feel where you are within your business, how rooted you are within your business, how planted you are within your business, how present you are within your business. You can use your feet, you can use your base chakra as a tuning fork to actually give you an idea of where you are in the midst of all of that. And then we can go up, basically, when you go up through the body, each of your energy centers relate on a physical level. So you go up into the sacral, which is just below the navel, and there's that kind of gut instinct in the sacral and the solar plexus, that sort of sense of when you know that something's right, when you know that something's hit home for you, this is exactly it. You can get that sensation and that feeling in the sacral and in the solar plexus. And those could be really go-to places in and of the moment. If you want a yes/no answer about what's in front of you, it will either give you that sense of yes, that kind of excitement, that sort of sense of unfurling, that sense of, or it will give you a sort of sense of kind of contracting, which doesn't mean that is a no, but it means that if you don't actually delve into what's contracting, you'll go forward as a yes, and this thing will actually bring you right back to it as a no, because you need to actually figure out, well, why is my energy contracting around this thing? Why is it that, I'm turning in on myself rather than meeting it with the full presence of who I am and where I am, you know? And we can go through, I mean, basically, if we go up into the heart with that, the heart to me is like the biggest tuning fork, because we tend to sort of think of the mind as running the show. We tend to think of the consciousness as running the show. But actually, studies have proven that the heart is more intuitive than the mind. And it's the heart that then informs the mind of what's going on. The heart will get an intuitive hit as a sensation, as a frequency, as a feeling, and then the mind will then start to grapple around as to like, oh, what does that mean? And it'll start pulling things out of the ether that relates to that feeling and that emotion. So when we tune into the heart as a first port of call, we're tuning into literally the doorway of everything when it comes to our energy flow. And when our heart says yes, there's an alignment that instantaneously occurs that can plug us in. When the heart says no, we kind of like find ourselves going forward, and it feels like we're dragging luggage behind us because the heart hasn't got the boat in. And so then the flow between all the other chakras become really choppy, basically. And the flow of our life becomes quite choppy around this thing. And when we get into the throat is basically that sort of sense of the ambassador, that sense of our expression, that sense of our truth. And when it comes to our business, and especially when it comes to soulful business, the heart and the throat are really important as sensations in the body, because a lot of times when we're actually in the soulful realm of business, we're also in the pioneering realm of business. And very much a lot of people that I speak to around soulful business, they're not working to a template, they're working to guidance. They're working to downloads. They're working to opening up and allowing and bringing information out from the core of who they are, the divine core of who they are. Our world and the template of our world isn't always like set up to applaud that kind of way. So we have had to find ways to actually strengthen and root ourselves in and empower ourselves in what we're doing, and then bring this information out. And a lot of times, because of that level of empowerment and strengthening, and that needs to occur, if that doesn't happen, it starts to play out in the way that we're able to express what we do, and it plays out in our heart connection, basically, because the heart will go into yes, no, because we haven't grounded what we're doing, and our expression then starts to get a little bit choppy depending on who we're talking to and how strong an opposition they might present to us. We then start to cower inwards as a result of that, because we haven't grounded and rooted. So bringing the energy into that really becomes really important. And you can start to feel all of this when you start to attune yourself to the energy that's flowing in the body. You can start to feel all of this as like frequencies, as surges, as sensations that are either contracting or expansive, basically, that are either flowing or it feels like they're stagnant, like something needs to shift before this can open out. And so this is a lot. And basically, just to finish off, the third eye is our visionary center. It's our center of being able to see the road ahead, being able to be guided by the road ahead. And again, you know, sometimes the road ahead, what's looking like truth for us in the road ahead can sometimes be very, very scary. It can feel like a yes, but then it feels really shaky. So for example, if you get called to talk in front of 200 people, and this is a vision that you see when you close your eyes in terms of your business. I see myself up on stage. I've heard this before. I see myself up on stage, but it's just so scary. Like, I can't, do you know what I mean? Like, the concept of it, everything clams and internalizes and starts to shut down. This is where your work is guiding you to, but unless you actually deal with all of this going on, then it's hard. And actually, this is a guiding force. So this vision that you've got is there to show you where your boundaries are and show you what needs to be released and show you what you're actually growing into. It might not be the final vision, but it's definitely a sort of vision of that. And then the final thing is the crown chakra. And to me, the crown chakra speaks so much about your business legacy. Like, when you're dead and gone, what do you want the echoes of your business energy to be? What do you want your contribution to life, to the world, to this planet? What do you want that to be? And it speaks very much of a broader lens and kind of a more universal lens. But it speaks to also a bigger vision than just yourself when it comes to your business. And when it's soulful business, the bigger vision is always there somewhere. Do you know what I mean? It's always kind of like it could be in the ether while you're like sorting out the nitty gritty at the bottom, but it's always there basically.
And it's so interesting as you're speaking. I'm so aware of the challenges of embodying this soulful business, because it's constantly changing and expanding and growing. And also that what you know is right in your heart, the mind can have a complete freak out about. It can have a completely opposing point of view about that. And it's that practice of really connecting to the expansion and then actioning in your business on that expansive feeling. But the mind might be saying, that's not the way to do it, or that's not how we've been taught, or no one's ever done that before. So it can really challenge us on quite a deep level. And I find personally is that gauge is always changing as we grow and evolve and expand. So what's your sort of feeling or feedback around that expanding, growing, changing embodiment of our business?
There's an element of embodiment where you hug your ego and you embrace it and you bring it close to you and you go, we're in this together. And unless that happens, and really, it can happen consciously as that, or it can happen in other ways. But like, basically, unless there's that sort of sense of actually really embracing your ego and understanding that part of this process of growth is that you are going to expand past what you know. And as soon as you get to the boundary of what you know, the four walls of what you know, your ego's going to start kicking up about how safe it is past those boundaries, basically, how the big bad world out there. And like, literally, when you actually start to listen and tune into that, everything comes up around you as a affirmation of what the ego's telling you. And to a large extent, to get past that, you actually have to go into all of the things, into the big bad world, and actually challenge what you're feeling and basically release from there. Do you know what I mean? Release the things that are holding you back from there. And for me, that process has been huge. I mean, that process of embodying the ego, of loving the ego, of understanding the ego as my small, petulant child, like stomping its feet and having a tantrum, but loving it anyway, because it needs that love. It needs to be seen. It needs to be heard before it lets go and allows. And understanding that ultimately it's there to keep me physically safe. It's there to keep me, I mean, there was a point when you know, the ego would alert you if there was a dinosaur around the corner. And our dinosaurs have changed in frequency. So they're no longer represented by a big, massive animal. They're now represented by social groups or peer groups or, you know, social status. You know, that's become our dinosaurs. And so it still is relevant to a degree, but we have to always be challenging ourselves past that, and to understand that there's uncomfortability in the midst of that, and just embracing that uncomfortability, basically.
It's amazing, because I find that running a soulful business or running a conscious business is one of the most powerful self-development paths, hey? And I kind of think that that's the point of it. It's actually about our own soul's journey, as well as, you know, the service that we provide to others.
Yes.
And I always find it so interesting how there's that almost seems like a fight between our soul, our higher self, our heart's wisdom, what we know we're supposed to be doing and creating, and then that poor ego that just, you know, wants to do the exact opposite. I find it's such an interesting dance. And I love how you talk about, you know, loving it and, you know, helping it, you know, that it's there to keep you safe. Because I found that if we don't dance with the ego, if we don't work with it, it actually can paralyze action in our businesses. And so, yeah, that was an interesting journey anyways, of getting to know ourselves more deeply.
Absolutely. And yeah, for me, this exactly like you're saying, this journey and dance is a soulful business journey, and dance is a journey of the internal outwards. It's a journey of the realization of the seed of divinity that's been planted within each of us, within you, within me, within each human being has had their seed of divinity that's been planted within them. And then it becomes about nurturing that seed and getting to know that seed and giving it what it needs so that it blossoms and it grows and it bears fruit, whatever that might mean for you, you know. And we haven't really been taught that journey in a very general sense. The journey that we've been taught in a very general sense has been the journey of the outwards in. Like, basically, I need to have my reference points on the outside of me. I need this person to show me where to go. I need to look up and out for my inspiration. When it comes to spirituality, I need to actually pray to something way, way, way up there, past what I've told myself is the mundane and not good enough elements of what it means to be human. But we have got, and this is always like really fascinating to me, you know, like we've got 60 trillion cells, 60 trillion cells in the human body. Each of those cells is a drop of consciousness. Each of those cells is a drop of divinity. 60 trillion. We are a universe of our own, and deep within that universe, a seed has been planted by divinity. And the seed is planted in such a way that it needs nurturing, it needs inward viewing for it then to just glow outwards, you know. And this has been really the journey for me personally. When we talk about soulful business, it's been the journey of appreciation of the seed that's been planted, and actually appreciation of all these drops of consciousness that makes the universe of Tash, you know, and actually honoring the divinity that's within me, and understanding that as I honor my own divinity, I call people to honor theirs through my business, basically.
Absolutely. So as within, so without. And I think that's, you know, this world can be very tempting in terms of focusing on the outside, as you were saying. And it's, you know, we can get very caught up in outside or external results, or, I don't know, achievements. But really, I think if we remember that it all starts within, and it's really ultimately it's for your own kind of self-realization, then maybe it can take some of that pressure off. And I find that then from that place, actually, we can create with much greater flow and much greater ease. And actually, when we get out of the way and stop putting all that pressure on, actually that truth, that seed can really blossom and be shared out in the world, which is so beautiful. And I think it's so awesome. I love that as we kind of serve and connect deeply to ourselves, that we naturally then contribute and share outwardly. I think that's just such a beautiful thing.
And the beauty of this is the energetic journey of it. And that is something that always fascinates me. And when I say the energetic journey, I might have something that's happened to me in as an experience. So for example, just that experience that I shared with you, where I was at a party and someone said to me, "Oh, so what do you do?" But they said it in a way that it felt confrontational. And as a result, my immediate reaction was to go into defense and drop all my energy. Do you know what I mean? Drop all of my energy in that moment to appease what I felt was coming from them. And in that moment, the lesson was learned. It's like, okay, bring this energy back, bring yourself back to center, because you're completely out of your center. And bring yourself back to equilibrium. What's just occurred? Why has this happened? And it's basically happened because there are elements of my business that I am still actually rooting and grounding. So what are those elements, and where is the uncomfortability with that? Rooting that back in and then coming back to center. And as soon as that happened, basically for about a week afterwards, clients were showing up with exactly that same thing. I have real problems articulating what I do in my business. I don't know how to articulate all of this esoteric stuff so people get it. And just by rooting, there's an attraction, like an instant attraction that occurs. And for me, that dance of the energy and the body, and how important embodiment is for the outside energy to meet what we've embodied, is really fascinating to me, basically.
It is. It's amazing. That's where I think then feels quite magical.
Yeah.
And also where, that the kind of, I don't want to call it work, but that inner journey that we go on, that it kind of gets rewarded, so to speak. That when you do that inner work and you have the courage to go within, you have the courage to be with the unknown and the uncomfortability, that actually life reflects that back to us. And what we might judge to be the good and the bad. So it's always being mirrored to us. So, which is amazing. It really is. It's showing us, in that example you had, that what we need to look at, what we might need to shift or realign to, and also all the amazing things that we've been open to receiving and saying yes to. So it is, we could talk about this subject probably forever, because it goes so deep and it touches on all of life. Our soulful business touches on all of life. And it's pretty profound. And
the interesting thing with soulful business is when we take it at its crux, it's our soul expressing itself through business, and it's us connecting with our soul through business. And for me, that's a journey that we're all making to a large degree. But when we call it what it is, when we call it soulful, when we call it heartfelt, there's something that really aligns in the midst of that then allows for an experience where it's more mindful. You become more mindful of the interaction between your soul and your business, and how your business is showing you the facets of your soul, and how the facets of your soul shows you your business, basically.
Awesome. Goodness. So that's beautiful stuff. Thank you so much, Tash, for talking with us about this today and embodiment.
Thank you.
And if anyone would like to get in contact with you and find out more about how you serve the world, how can they get in touch with you, love?
It's www.tashmitch.com, and I've got free resources on my site, and also a way for you to subscribe so that I keep in touch with you twice a week and get those free resources to you.
Awesome. Thank you for those. That's That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tash, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And if you have any questions about running a soulful business, embodiment, please do get in touch with Tash. She'd be very happy to hear from you. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.